In the heart of the sprawling city, nestled within the shadows of towering skyscrapers and hidden away from the prying eyes of the mundane world, there existed a place known to only a select few, a hidden speakeasy named the Velvet Veil. It wasn't your ordinary bar. It was a haven for those who sought the unusual, the bizarre, and the spine-chilling. On a moonless night, when the stars seemed to withdraw from the sky, a woman named Evelyn found herself wandering the dimly lit streets of the city. She had heard whispers about the Velvet Veil from a stranger she had encountered in a dark, eerie alley. His cryptic message had piqued her curiosity, and her desire to unravel its enigma had led her to its unmarked door. The Velvet Veil's entrance was concealed behind a forgotten antique shop, accessible only to those with a keen eye and a sense of daring. As Evelyn pushed open the heavy velvet curtain and crossed the threshold, she knew she had entered a different world entirely. The air inside was thick with the scent of incense, and dim candles cast wavering shadows on ornate tables. Patrons, elegantly dressed in vintage attire, lounged in plush velvet armchairs, sipping cocktails from crystal glasses. Their hushed conversations were punctuated by eerie laughter, creating an atmosphere that was both enchanting and unsettling. Evelyn made her way to the bar, where a bartender with a sly smile and piercing eyes greeted her with a nod. "What will it be, miss?" he inquired. "Surprise me," Evelyn replied, her voice quivering with anticipation. The bartender's skilled hands worked in a mesmerizing dance, mixing a concoction that seemed to shimmer with an otherworldly light. As Evelyn took her first sip, a shiver ran down her spine. The room seemed to grow colder, and the faces of the patrons blurred into grotesque masks. As she struggled to maintain her composure, a tall, enigmatic man in a top hat and tails approached her. His name, he said, was Mr. Blackwell, and he spoke with a voice that carried an unsettling authority. "Welcome to the Velvet Veil," he whispered, "a place where the boundaries between reality and the supernatural blur." Evelyn's heart quickened as Mr. Blackwell regaled her with tales of the bar's history, a place built upon a cursed burial ground where the spirits of the restless dead mingled with the living. Each story he told painted a portrait of a place where the supernatural was not only acknowledged, but embraced. With each tale, the atmosphere grew increasingly sinister, and Evelyn felt the weight of unseen eyes upon her. The room seemed to warp and twist, and the patrons' faces contorted into grotesque masks of agony. Their laughter turned into eerie, mournful cries. Evelyn's unease reached its peak, and she desperately sought an escape. But when she turned to leave, the entrance she had passed through had vanished. Panic surged through her as she realized she was trapped within the Velvet Veil, a place where the line between the living and the dead had become blurred beyond recognition. As she tried to make sense of her nightmarish surroundings, the room became filled with a haunting, discordant melody. A spectral pianist, with bony fingers gliding over the keys of a grand piano, conjured the eerie notes that reverberated through Evelyn's very soul. The music grew louder, and Evelyn felt herself being drawn into the floor. She screamed, but her voice was drowned out by the cacophony of the damned. She tumbled into a dark abyss, where tormented souls writhed and wailed. The air was thick with despair, and the darkness seemed endless. Evelyn's consciousness blurred and fragmented as she descended further into the abyss, the wailing and anguish of the trapped souls echoing in her mind. It was a descent into madness, where the boundaries of reality dissolved entirely. She awoke with a start, gasping for breath, back in her own bed. It had all been a dream, a terrifying, surreal nightmare that had shaken her to her core. She struggled to regain her composure, her heart still pounding from the horrors she had experienced. As she attempted to make sense of the nightmare, she noticed something on her bedside table, an empty crystal glass, half filled with a mysterious, shimmering liquid. It was a chilling reminder of her night at the Velvet Veil, a place where the line between reality and the supernatural had blurred beyond recognition, and where the terrors of the unknown had become all too real. The memory of that eerie and unsettling night would haunt her for the rest of her days. a reminder that some secrets are best left buried in the shadows. Please subscribe, or I will haunt you down in your dreams.